All right, this should be a fun one. I think I'm gonna get some nice comments on this one. All right, so here we go. I've been putting off guessing a state for a while, putting off making any kind of general guesses on where, and we're gonna end that tonight. All right, we're gonna get some guesses based on just pure nothingness. No, I'll lay out. I got a couple of reasons, but I don't think anybody's gonna like them. All right, mainly because if you know me from following me from the last treasure hunt, JCB's hunt, I just like to be different because if all the YouTube people are saying the same thing, then it's boring for you guys. So here's a little bit of a different opinion, and we're gonna rock with it. All right. So first off, we're gonna try to follow what Justin says. Who's Jason? Netflix to book to poem. Right. That's what I got out of it. The Netflix clues lead you to the book, which leads you to the poem. And when I say lead you to the book, I take it as lead you to stories in the book. All right. So without further ado, let's go over the Netflix clues. All right. I've got 5 that I came up with. Not that I came up with, right? But 5 that I like. Because a few of these were some groupthink. The railroad switch, someone texted me this early on, but they asked that I keep it private, so I kept it private. But since then, people have been talking about it on Discord and putting it out there on like all social medias now. I've heard that it's a railroad switch lock, which I like. All right, so I think that points you to Midnight Menace, that chapter. Or you could take Mom or Dad. Both of them worked on the railroad. Why I think it's a railroad switch lock? I mean, why would you have a padlock in a safe? Anyways, that might be a whole different video. But this one is, I got somewhere to get to at the end of this. So, all right, Netflix clues. Railroad switch lock points you to Midnight Menace, that story. The photo of, in the background, Alberta, Canada, points you to the Dubious Decision chapter. The clock points you to time. I like the chapter of Posey's on the road, but also reinforces the concept of time. The Tucker statue points you to Tucker. That's kind of obvious. There's a couple chapters. I said it. There's a couple stories in there. The Scout Snout, the Home Depot Hound, which is one of the few stories that has like 3 words. Well, 4. The Home Depot Hound, right? Most have 3 if you include the. Anyways, and then the urn, which I believe symbolizes the 4 people that are dedicated to his 4 compass points: Dad, Brother, Tucker, and Grandpa Wayne. And I believe that like a compass follows or directs you, those are the people, when they appear in the chapter, you follow or get directed. All right. So what does that leave us? Well, if we include all the stories that are appointed by the Netflix, plus a few other ones, and here's my criteria for adding them. 1 is something just seems obvious. I put it in there because why not? 2, I like the stories where Justin is alone. Like, for example, the Aft Assault, right? And I think I might have elaborated this on a previous video. But if not, I'll go into it later. I'll have to check to see if I did it or not. But stories where he's alone or where he's describing something, right? Like the obsession oath and the cable conundrum, right? He's like telling that story. There's really no one else involved. Those are, I think, important because you can, again, if he's the sole one, there's no one else in there. He can tell the story however he wants because who's going to say if he did it right or wrong, right? It's his story. He was the only one there. He's telling it, which means he can convey as many clues as he wants in whatever order. So what that gets us to is 5 Netflix clues, right? And again, we don't know how many Netflix clues there are, right? And that gets me to 13 stories in the book that I think point to the poem. That's here are the 13. Conquistador Conquest, Minority Mix-Up, Midnight Menace, Aft Assault, Living Legend, Cable Conundrum, Obsession Oath, Bronze Beast, Home Depot Hound, Derailed Duo, Snout Scout, Jinx Joint, Dubious Decisions. All right, so those are 13. There could be a couple more. This is just the first pass we're going through. And speaking of first pass we're going through, this is a pre-recorded video because right now there's a live going on and I didn't want to distract it. They were on a nice little roll, zooming in on a state that I don't think so, and I'll get into that in a second. Okay, so that leaves, so we got 5 Netflix clues, we got 13 stories, right, that points us to the poem. One other thing I want to touch on is the errata list. This shout out goes to, I think, PD Pablo. I think he was the one. I was driving, so I didn't really hear the voice, but it sounded like PD Pablo. Not the PD Pablo, a PD Pablo. I wonder if PD Pablo likes treasure hunts. That's one of my fun facts is PD Pablo one time liked one of my Instagram posts. That was, it's my claim to fame. Anyways, the errata list. April 2nd, Justin calls out that the capital city of Oregon was not on there. Okay, and here's my thinking. This is where I get a little bit out there because to me, I've always been one for taking shortcuts with navigation and for games, right? If it's any kind of game, my friends hate playing Catan with me because they say I play dirty. I follow the rules, and the rules are written. That's a whole nother thing. But it's the cities and knights thing. They don't like when I attack their knight with my knight. That's how it's written. It's allowed. And they don't like when I build a city right before the barbarians come. And anyways, you can tell it's a source of contention. Oh, I've always been one for, if it's a game, if it's a prize, I like to take the shortcut, right? In Mario, when you're racing, you always take the shortcut. Even if you're going to miss, if you're not good at hitting that jump, you're going to try every single time. So the shortcut here is figuring out what states to axe right away. And the more you can axe right away, the better your chances are of finding the right state. Because a lot of the poem can be applied to the whole West, right? So some people don't like that method. That's fine. It's my video, so it's my method. And it's not live, so I don't have to hear everybody complaining. I love you guys. I miss the engagement. It's also late, and if I did a live, I know I'd interact, and the video would go on longer. Anyways, okay. Yeah, I think land navigation was my next point. My list is like, I don't write in order a lot of times. It's like here, 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 and here. And so it's how my brain works, I guess. Anyways, so when I was in the military, I liked land navigation. It was a highlight. I like to do it. Some guys didn't. Most of the guys in my unit like to do it. And my favorite part was not following the instructions and trying to jump ahead, because it was a race. It's always a race to be the first one back, to hit all the points. And so I like to, the way you're supposed to do it is they give you the map. They say they're ammo cans. Most of the land nav courses I did, there might have been one that was different, but they were all ammo cans. And they're all hidden out in, I did one in Virginia, I did one in Louisiana, I did one in California, did two in California. Well, one in Nevada. Anyways, I've done a bunch, and I'm pretty good. Most of the time, my team comes in first. Anyways, so what I like to do is, okay, I'm getting ahead. I'm getting excited. What you're supposed to do is they give you the map. They give you where you're supposed to go to, and they give you a little compass that works most of the time. And you have to the good thing is in school, you always have to show your work. Here, you don't have to show your work. You just have to write down the coordinates of where the box is. So you're supposed to use your compass and shoot, an azimuth, and you figure out how far off you are from true north, because on the bottom of the map it'll tell you, and you calculate for that, and then you shoot at something, and then you go, and then you have to reshoot. All right, that takes way too much time. What I did is you just look at the map and you look for a key terrain feature. If there's a creek running through, if there's where the highest point of elevation is, and then you base the boxes are from that, and then you just sprint as fast as you can to your elevation mark, either the top of the hill or the river. Now, doing it my way, you might get more tired, but you're gonna get there first, because you don't have to stop and shoot all the points. And there's a small chance, if you're not really good, you will get lost. But I've never gotten lost. Anyways, to me it seemed intuitive, right? I'm not a super amazing map guy, but it just makes sense to me. Like, okay, that's a river. You just find the river, and then if the box is like this far away from the river, you just look for this kind of bend. And it's not exact, right? But I don't know. You get close enough. But the problem is that you can't really start on my way and then try to shoot, because you kind of need to shoot from the beginning. So I don't know. I feel like I've lost the point of the story. I remember. This is going to be a wild video. I was out in the woods all day today, And so I just got back, and some things I think kind of fit together, so I'm a little bit hyper. Or it could be the energy drink that I drank at like 9 o'clock. Okay, so where do I want to start? Okay, let's go ahead and start eliminating states, right? So, Oregon, this video is terrible. I'm going to let it run, though, because I think it's funny. Oregon, so the errata list, April 2nd. He comes out and he says the capital city of Oregon was missing, just not on there. I think if I hid the treasure in Oregon, I'm going to make sure that when I look at the map, everything on the Oregon is correct. I mean, I'm checking it out, right? Whatever state he hid the treasure in, he's certainly going to at least take a peek over that section in the map and make sure it's correct, right? So because of that and that alone, I rule out Oregon. Sorry if you hate it, Oregon's gone. Next, I rule out Alaska just because it's too far. I like what K-Pro is saying. I think they ruled it out. It's too far for me. I rule out Oregon. I rule out California. I had some issues when I did my hunt in California. I'm sure Justin can figure it out. I couldn't. The legal areas in California's public lands are like pretty strict, more strict than a lot of other states. And I just think that he wouldn't want to mess with it. So I'm ruling out California. And I rule out Arizona for the same reason I rule out North Carolina in the other hunt. It's the home state. You got to rule out the home state. So we've ruled out Alaska, Oregon, California, Arizona. We're doing pretty good. This next one, you're probably going to stop watching and thumbs down. I'm ruling out the Rockies. All of them. Because from the 20 minutes I spent with the guy and from a brief Google search and a couple interviews watched, I think he's evolving the Fent hunt. I don't think he's following in the footsteps necessarily. And he spent so much time there. I think he'd want to explore more of the West. If he could have just used Fent's map again. As a matter of fact, if it is in the Rockies and he used a wider map, people are going to be like, oh, why didn't you just use the Fent map? If you're going to hide it in one of the Fent spots, popular spots. And again, he has a lot of history with people. He knows people talk. People have inside knowledge of where he looked, where spots that he liked. I just think it opens up to too much. So we're not even looking at the Rockies. We're just not. This is where I was going with the whole land navigation thing. This is the point I was trying to make. So Justin has revealed so much that I think he wants it found this year, in my opinion. And I've got a lot of opinions tonight. We'll see if I wake up in the morning with them. By saying that there's not a trail, this is the point I was trying to make. So if you're following the steps of the poem and it's sequential, whatever. You got a general area, narrow down. Then you got your boots on the ground clues, checkpoint somewhere in there. Okay, you get to your spot. You're gonna have to drive at some point, right? You drive, and then because you're not parachuting and you're not taking a boat, so you're driving, and then you get out of your car at some point, right? Some point, and the distance from when you get out of your car to when you find, I believe is a treasure. Some people say you find something else. Whatever, it's a mile. Okay. If you're going a mile, and I did several miles today. I did a lot of weird experiments, which after my hunt's over, I'll be able to tell you the experiments if I remember. Probably going to forget. But I was in some pretty thick woods today. And if you're going a mile and you're off trail and you're not using a compass, it's pretty difficult, especially if you don't have a lot of points, peaks, or any other geographical feature to orientate yourself off of. It's easy to get lost, right? I think Justin's doing everything he can to make it, not everything he can, because if he had no point in putting in Alaska, he could have left off Alaska, but I don't think anybody's going to go to Alaska. Somebody will, probably. I think he's doing most of what he can to make sure the treasure is going to be in a safe spot, right? I don't think telling someone, because again, if you're not using a trail, you're not going to park at a trailhead. You're going to park on the side of a highway, or are you going to park at a trailhead and then walk down, or park at a trailhead and then do your best to not use that trail because you're not supposed to be on a trail? It's just so you're driving down and you just pull over to the side. And again, I've camped and I've done dispersed camping out in Colorado before, around, and then also near the Grand Canyon. So I mean, I know there is places like, there's access roads, there's fire roads, and then I know there's places where you can drive. You go to the highway, there's an off, and then you go off, and you just drive, and then you can just park. So it could be one of those things, right? I don't think it is. All right. I think that if you're relying on somebody to drive to a point, stop, not a trail, drive to a point, stop, and then navigate to the in spot, checkpoint, a treasure, whatever, you're going to want wider open, flatter terrain. And that points to more the south. That points to south of the Rockies, or that points to, flatter, not plains, but desert-like areas. All right. That's why I've got it narrowed down to 5 states. And you can, if I had a soundboard, I hit a soundboard. You heard it here first. This will probably be in the description. Nevada, New Mexico, south of Santa Fe, not north, south of Santa Fe. I like that because it's kind of like Fenn was north of Santa Fe. This is south of Santa Fe. So Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, Washington, Oregon. And in order, I like New Mexico the best. Next to New Mexico, I like Washington, then Utah, then Nevada and Idaho are tied for last. All right. Washington, he spent some time in Seattle, right? He spent some time up there, a lot of time there. Probably has some good memories there. So I like, Washington, New Mexico. It's obvious. It's right next to Arizona. His father was, I said, molded or shaped. What's the exact words? By New Mexico. His father is one of the points. His father, let me read it out here. He was a force of nature shaped by the rugged landscapes of southern New Mexico. Boom, southern New Mexico. How about that? There's a whole much in those chapters. Oh, I said it again. In those stories I mentioned, Conquistador Conquest, Minority Mix-Up, Midnight Menace, After Assault, Living Legend, Cable Conundrum, Obsession Oath, Bronze Beast, Home Depot Hound, Derailed Duo, Snout Scout, Jinx Joint, Dubious Decisions. There's a lot of tie-ins to the 5 states that are left. There's tie-ins to either Washington, New Mexico, not as much Nevada, Utah, Idaho. To my knowledge, Utah might be mentioned, but I don't think Nevada and Idaho are mentioned. That's why they're like tied for bottom of my list. But you can get creative with it. But for sure, New Mexico and Washington. So that's kind of the bombshell drop here, is that those are the 5 states that I think is pretty good. I think, again, I hesitate because I've made a lot of good friends in the community. I mean, I've met a lot of these guys face to face at the con, at the Treasure Con, which if you didn't go and you like treasure, you should definitely go next year. And so it's tough. I like their solves. I respect their logic. I don't think it's there. So, and again, I mean, I don't have a box. I haven't won any treasure hunts, like real ones. So who am I? I'm just some dude on YouTube. But that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's not in the Rockies. None of the 4 Fenn states. I think that Justin's looking to evolve the hunt. I think if he was looking to mimic or copy or follow in the footsteps, which is not wrong. I mean, that's a way some people honor. I think he would have been more clear of the intentions and the wording. I think he would have kept the poem layout more closely related to Fenn. I think he would have kept the language more closely related. And yeah, you can say the language is similar. Water, okay. Almost any treasure poem is going to have a water reference. But to me, the wording and the layout and the syntax and the rhyme and the meter and everything is different enough from the Fenn hunt, from the Fenn poem. So I think this is a clear indication that, to me, it's different. This is an evolution. It's he's building on it, right? So I think it's a good homage. I mean, he's included the Fenn states, the 4 that everyone gravitated to. I know that there was 6 originally, right? Which you might even want to cross out Utah and Idaho. I didn't cross them out. I left them in because if I narrowed it down to 3, everybody would just flip out. So I kept them in there. That's for you guys. You're welcome. But those are the 5, man. Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, Washington, Idaho. Again, New Mexico and Washington are my number 1 and number 2. So here's with New Mexico, and so this is where we get in a little bit more tricky, is that with New Mexico, I have to really pay attention to the geography. I was talking with some guys today. I think Travis Brown. I was talking to Travis Brown. He was filling me in on the. I remembered vaguely in school learning about. Actually, no, it might have been the Marines. I think they warned us about flash floods in desert environments, and it turns. You can be like in a dry riverbed or something, and it rained a couple miles away, and then you just swept off your feet. And Travis was telling me some stories about that. Appreciate that, Travis. Yeah, so I don't think he'd put it anywhere dangerous like that. And he would know the environment, right, growing up in that area as a child. So if I'm looking in New Mexico, I don't want to be too desert-y, and that really does limit the areas. So, I don't know, we might be able to cross out New Mexico pretty soon. But yeah, we're looking south of Santa Fe, or at least not a area that's considered the Rockies. And it can't be too dry, too dangerous, because any kind of severe rain or flood would, I think, it'd be hard to secure something against that, right? I mean, it could be done. A couple last notes are, I think this is just me spouting off because I'm feeling froggy. I think one of the last indicators, it could be fun if it was a dog park, right? If it's not a trail that we're looking for, but maybe a dog park is one of the last indicators. I'm not saying the dog park is a checkpoint, but I wouldn't raise my eyebrows if there was a dog park with a camera. I mean, I used to have a dog. I've been to some nice dog parks in Texas. They have some nice ones, big ones, where they have like a big run with a lake in it for the big dogs, and they have a little run with another smaller lake in it for the little dogs, and they have like an area where nice dogs can play together, and then they have an area where you can like wash your dog off afterwards, and then there's like a shaded area for people to sit, and it's all like really well lit and really nice and big and caged in, and I'm pretty sure there was cameras. So like you could probably slip on a camera, then you would know if somebody came in the parking lot, or if somebody if you angled the camera like to the back so it feels like behind the dog park or something. I don't know. That would be easy to check out. Just look for dog parks near public land, I guess, and see. Anyways, that's just kind of a little kooky thing. But I think I communicated all the big things I wanted to. This video went longer than I thought. Yeah, as far as amount of Netflix clues, and I think I talked on this in my last video, if there's 10, and we know that there's 10 clues in the poem, I don't think there's going to be double the amount in the books. There might be. There definitely won't be triple the amount. That's crazy. You get 10 poems to find it, but there's triple the amount of clues in the book. Then it's really like, it's not the book isn't optional. The book is mandatory, right? If it comes out that there's 30 clues in the book, and everyone's like, well, we had to buy the book. There's 30 clues in it, right? So I'm always, no matter what the treasure hunt is, I'm always approaching it, and I think everybody should. I think it's good advice. Think of the end. And you have a frame of reference. You have the documentary. Think of someone doing a documentary on the Posey hunt, right? And think of the 4 people sitting on the couch talking about, oh yeah, we were sure it was going to be in Montana and we went there, or yeah, we were sure this and that. Like, think about how they're speaking and does it make sense, or how it's going to come across, right? Versus, oh, I didn't buy the book because he said, we didn't need to, and there was 40 clues in the book, right? I mean, just think of the optics, think about, and he's fresh from that world. So, I don't know. I could be way off on everything I'm saying tonight, but it just makes sense to me that you're going to look for, I don't know, a more reasonable number of the books. Again, there's 48 stories in there, right? 48 name stories in table of contents. There's a few that aren't in there, right? Fun ones. So, half of 48, 24. Okay, I could accept with that. I wouldn't be mad at there was 10. I mean, 10 might be a little on the low side. 1 for every 4. Maybe not. All right, 10 things in the book, 10 in the poem. I could see, 15, 10 to 20. I think is pretty good. So, and then same thing with the Netflix, right? If there was 20 clues in the Netflix, right? One, we heard him talk firsthand about how he had no creative control and some things didn't, but some things did. So he may have been trying every chance he could to put stuff in there. But again, if it came out that there was 20 clues in Netflix, and then came out, oh, well, you had to watch the Netflix thing, and Netflix, is assuming a greater part in it, versus if there was like 5, maybe 8 total. All right, so yeah, and if there's 1 or 2, there's no point, right? So it's got to be 3 to 5. So I've got 5 in there. I've got 13 the stories. There's probably a few more that I missed. I might add some more later. But that's what I'm working with. And I really think the big thing is, shout out to, again, PD Pablo. I hadn't checked their rider list recently, and the April 2nd update is huge, in my opinion. Missing the capital city of Oregon, I think, just takes Oregon right off the boat. Because I had Oregon in the running. Like, Oregon was like my 3rd state that I liked for something in. So, yeah, that's it. You can rest. You don't have to go to the Rockies. Don't worry about it. The treasure's not in there. Nah, I'm not going to say that, because then I'll come back and get sued. But I don't think it's in there, in my humble opinion, in my non-treasure expert opinion. Okay, that's it. Nevada, no, let's do an order. New Mexico, number 1. Washington, number 2. Utah, number 3. No, Nevada, number 3. Idaho and Utah tied for 4. So, I don't know. Have fun. Bye.